Famed, of course, for my unique red skin and unparalleled skills as a general of the House of War, I, the Red Prince, was raised within the vast palaces of the fabled Forbidden City. I was destined to become the next emperor. But my ambitions suffered a bit of a setback when I fell from grace for cavorting with demons. Now, I'm exiled and hunted by assassins. But I assure you, I remain undaunted and as determined as ever to claim my rightful throne.
I used to be a slave, kept under the thumb of the master, the bastard that made me hunt down my own kin. How did he do that, you ask? With the living scar you see on my cheek, this horror that takes no more than a song sung by Master Dearest to control my very thoughts. But now the tables have turned. I broke my shackles, and when I finally find him, I will make the master sing a very different kind of song.
Once I was a crusader for the Divine Order. I pledged my life to Lucian the Divine. The war changed everything. He sent me to save the elves I grew up amongst. I arrived too late. Lucian ordered the use of death fog against the Black Ring, annihilating everyone I once knew in the process. Now I'm a mercenary killer, one of the infamous Lone Wolves. And my next target is none other than Lucian's own son.
I was just thinking about someone I used to know. My cousin, the Queen, in fact. A tyrant. I tried to stop her, but things don't always go according to plan. She cast me out to a forgotten island, and made short work of my allies, too. Lucky for me, I was able to commandeer a ship, and began a new life for myself, out on the high seas. Aye, but I hear that the Queen is at it again, and there's something darker behind her madcap schemes this time. If I don't stop her, I don't know who will.
All
my life, I've been a performer, a musician, beloved and celebrated by all. But I have a secret. I'm also a playground for sprites and spirits and... worse. The voice that rings inside me now is darker than any that came before. Almost caused a bunch of my fans to rip each other to pieces. But you can trust me. I've got this under control. Step 1. Find out who, or what, is trying to take control of my mind. Step 2. Make it sorry it ever tried.
Oh, don't stare. How would you look after eons in some ghastly crypt? Your people are rather prone to death. Mine are not. Yet when I emerged from my completely unjustified imprisonment, I found them gone. Our culture forgotten. Any trace of the world I knew all but obliterated. I must even hide my true face beneath an ever-shifting mask for fear you savages will attack me. That is how I wander this strange world, trying to uncover the truth about a history you primitive people never even knew existed.
It all happened like I knew it would. A single drop of source magic. like flies to honey. The monsters swarmed. The rebel panicked. The carnage began. And the Magisters pointed their fingers at me. Just as I'd planned. I was shackled and collared, and sent to Fort Joy. I'd come here to kill Godwoken. But instead, I became part of their story.
So, still a bit groggy, are we? Don't worry, the sedative will wear off soon enough. Easy now, no need to hurry. Get your bearings and report to me upstairs.
The things I do to complete a contract. Being leashed by the Order once was quite enough. Boring. Well, that explains the smell anyway.
Did you expect a needle?
Shaking her fluffy coat, the sheep eyes you balefully. Her
Did you expect a needle?
Get me out of this cage and I'll make it worth your while. You in? Set me free, and I'll set you free. A fair trade, I should think. Your guess is as good as mine. Someone screamed loud as a banshee. After that, a gentleman among jesters you are. Give that lever a pull, and I guarantee we'll both...
Before you can even touch the lever, you hear a sniff and snort behind you as the snoring Magister mumbles...
Is my shift over? Are you here to relieve me? Wait, you're no Magister. You're a sorcerer. What are you doing here, filthy scrounger? Choose your words carefully. My fists ache to meet a new face. Those idiots can't even walk straight without mucking it up. Was it Rick's? I bet it was Rick's. Can't just leave the prisoner alone, though. I heard he might be the one causing trouble upstairs. If it's all the same, I think it's best he comes with me. Some offence intended. You hear that? Come on. And keep your hands where I can see them. Hurry it up, sorcerer. We haven't got all day.
No. No, you must. Dead Magister.
So much
Somebody
for
will
a
have to
peaceful
take
stroll.
the blame for this, and it won't be me.
Damn!
empty.
No key? No problem. And I'm back where I started. Nowhere to go but up.
Why, you're looking a bit more chipper. There you are. Not too tight, I hope. The collar, I mean. Oh, not to worry. Every dog has to get used to its leash. In the meantime, your next stop will be Magister William. All passengers have to be registered in the ship's manifest, and he's the chap in charge of the logs. You'll find him on the other side of this deck, in the officers' quarters. The good ship Merryweather. But you can stand at ease there, Private. You do really...
Index fingers pressed to her lips, she pauses a moment to give you a scrutinizing gander.
My word, you do seem a bit befuddled, don't you? Perhaps I was a bit too generous with that sedative. Oh, well, I'm sure you'll soon gather your wits. Most likely. Eventually. In the meantime, all you need to know is that we're en route to Fort Joy. A new life awaits, and if you're a particularly good boy, perhaps a cure as well. An end to Sauce. For good. Is he? Oh, well. Some problems simply sort themselves, don't they?
She frowns and peers at you closely, resting the back of one hand on your
Delusions such as these are rare, but not unheard of. I recommend a cup of mulled wine and another night's sleep. Just take it easy.
Bloody murder. Looks like someone's hit the Hall of Echoes a little early.
Come on, please, Losa.
Ugly sight, isn't it? Burns me up this happened under our protection. We're extremely lucky no Voidwalker followed the source that did this.
She looks up at you with a...
I was on duty in your room when the murder happened. You were asleep the whole time. You're one of the only indisputably innocent people on the ship. Unless you can commit murder in your sleep, of course. I thought as much. Listen, I could use someone to keep their ears open among the passengers. Sometime bring me a good lead, and I'll throw in a shiny gold coin for you. How about that? Thanks. I just want to catch whoever did this before they hurt anyone else.
Behind the Magister, a bloodied mass lies in a heap. Gore and limbs lie at odd angles. You can't make out a face amid the mess.
There's been a murder. A sorcerer was killed by one of your own. Lucky you were busy getting your collar. Waters is investigating. She'll figure out who did it. Always does.
An elf sits tucked away in a dark spot, lazily rolling dice onto the surface of a barrel. They sound like the dry cackling of an old witch.
Snake eyes.
She chuckles.
I bet that's just what they'll look like. Rolling dice. Deciding fates. Don't worry, honey. It isn't yours.
She looks you up and down with the merest hint of a coy smile on her lips.
Never say never, though.
She eyes you quite seriously.
Not the future, no. But I can read the past in flesh. One of the perks of being an elf, you see. I'm quite good at it, too. I could lick your arm and tell you how you spent the night before last. Shall I?
She gives your arm a vigorous stroke of the tongue, efficient like a cat grooming.
You were in a cellar with other sorcerers. As everyone lay sleeping, it seems you and another elf engaged in an action somewhat similar to the one I just performed. Only rather more vigorously. Of course it is. The truth's right there, skin deep. But don't you worry, darling. Your secret's safe with me. I don't lick and tell.
Ah, there you are. Husband. Would you please tell this very charming gaggle of not at all brat-like babes that I am by no accounts this Losa woman, nor do I sing, in fact. I'm deathly allergical. How very correct you are, spouse of mine. Madame Josephine Gribbles de Peeb refuses to be confused with anyone else. What? What's so funny?
Her pinched face cracks into a great grin, and she shoos the children away from her with a laugh.
Yeah, okay, you found me out. Go on and git, and maybe I'll sing you something when I'm good and ready.
She turns to you, dark-eyed and dirty-haired, and smiles flatly.
Gotta keep ourselves entertained, haven't we? You'd presume right.
What are you trying to hear anyway?
Nope, trying not to find anything out either. Ignorance is bliss. The utterer, the better. Thanks, but I already belong to an elite and exclusive ship gang. We play ball every day after lunch. You're too soft for it. You take care, though.
Suddenly, her eyes cloud to an unnatural black. Greyish veins run down her face, and her mouth tightens into a cruel sneer. As quickly as they came, the clouds clear.
Good luck, Chief.
I wasn't doing anything. I swear.
I know it.
You look like my daddy. His name is Frida. He's waiting for me at home.
They don't care about us. We're like cattle to them.
I'll give you that knuckle.
Do you know Losa? She's a really good singer. I'm better though. Listen. La 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 la.
We just skipped to the part where I reassure you.
Name?
You shut up.
You think me mad?
Well, you aren't here on my list. Scram, eh? We're trying to catch a killer here.
What are you trying to hear anyway? You one of them? A divine order loyal? They killed a sorcerer, you know. They'll hide the evidence well enough, but make no mistake.
A broad dwarf sits totally upright on the bench, eyes closed, palms face up on his knees. His beard is a cascade of meticulous plaits, each one braided through with golden medallions. He raises an eyebrow as you approach, but doesn't open his eyes.
Listen up, boy. You hear that? The ship, of course.
A wave of sound washes over you. The unintelligible chatter of your shipmates, the groaning of wood from floor to ceiling, the boom, crash and crackle of waves around you, complaints from the sea itself.
And?
Don't you get saucy with me when you clearly don't know the first thing about...
The fellow cocks his ear, listening.
That isn't anger, it's...
He cocks his ear to the other side, then smiles.
anticipation. She senses something. I'd hold on to my breeches if I were you, mate. That's all you hear, though. Listen close. There now, just like that. Squeak! Aha!
His eyes snap open as his countenance breaks into an expression of joy. One great paw claps you on the back. The other catches you before you lose your footing.
There. You heard it, didn't you? I knew it. I knew it. Aye, this is good news, boy. Good news. It's the wheel. The wheel. Don't you see, you beautiful idiot? Squeaks whenever the helmsman jerks it clockwise, which means we're heading east. Burn my beard. That means if we've been travelling for... Yes, only 10.34 nautical miles to Fort Joy. Captain, actually. And that figure tells me we're getting close to the Joy. Close to what lies beyond it, too.
The dwarf leans back from the table and strokes his beard, gold medallions jingling merrily. His eyes roll over to you.
That'll be all. Thank you kindly, boy. If you'll be pardoning me...
How dare you classify this slop as food? I've seen more appetizing things coming out of plague-stricken
The Magister
pigs.
starts, recognition growing on his face as he looks right at you.
You look just like...
The Magister's face turns white. He makes a move to step backwards, then stops himself as his hand closes on the weapon at his hip.
It is you. Ifan Ben Mesd. I remember you. You were my captain's commander way back in the war.
The Magister's eyes darken. His face closes over into a cold mask.
I always knew you'd end up down low. Lower even than us nobodies in the rank and file. The higher the climb, the louder the splat when you fall. In Fort Joy, you're about to fall further than you thought possible. And I'll be listening for the splat. Happy landings.
It was one of them. I know it.
Would you put a knuckle
Well,
in it? I'm
well.
trying to
What have we here? A fresh face in this stale hell. Let's size you up, shall we? See if you'll do.
The lizard looks you up and down, like a farmer would a fetching horse. All of a sudden, he grips you firmly by the chin, with the intent of inspecting your teeth.
There's some discoloration, but I've seen worse. After all, one can't expect to find prime merchandise on a squalid little ship like this. Now then, to business. You will answer me 3 questions. The first one is this. Can you... music to my beleaguered stomach. On to the second question. Can you knit, weave? In short, tailor? Yes, I can tell from your vagabond chic, a bag is as good as a shirt kind of style. I shouldn't be getting my hopes up. On then to my final query. Have you the ability to administer the upkeep of one's personal appearance? The delicate art of cosmetics is what I'm after. The very basics, then. I suppose that's a start. So, 3 questions asked, 3 questions answered. Let's evaluate, shall we? As per your own testimony, you can cook and groom, but you have the fashion sense of a monkey in a clown suit. Still, beggars can't be choosers. So without further ado, I offer you my sincerest congratulations. As of now, you are my slave. My slave, of course. Oh, but I see. Yes, I suppose it must take some time for the full extent of this honor to sink in. Anyway, you may leave me for a moment. We'll go over your duties once we reach Fort Joy. Now shoot!
I spent my life singing for my slaves to bring me my supper. Finer fare than boiled roots and rotten tubers, too. Meanwhile, the Magisters feast on honeyed meat behind this very wall. The indignity.
One of us wouldn't kill our own. They're picking us off one by one.
The elf is reading a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous encyclopedia. He looks up, his big round eyes scanning your body, absorbing every detail. He reaches out and takes your hand, turning it this way and that, examining it from every angle. Finally, he pinches your skin, gently tugging at it.
Fascinating.
He sits back and returns to his book, flicking quickly from page to page, completely oblivious to your presence.
It is simultaneously too detailed and insufficient. I know the beginning of this tale and the end, but I am rather missing the middle. Tell me, what do you know of our world's history? Oh, please. I have no interest in... No. I want to know about the Celestial. I want to know about your gods. This text tells me that they created all creatures, but nothing of what came before. Where did these gods come from? Who are their people? Where are the others of their kind? Of course you don't have any useful information. Why did I expect anything else? Now please, run along. I have a world to decipher.
Here to register, sir. Good, good. Magister Williams is just about done with the last passenger. You faring okay so far? Glad to hear it. You head on in now. Williams will get you sorted fast.
Picking us off one by one.
Can we just skip to the part where I reassure you and you shut up? Insufferable, surely.
A young magister stands pale and silent.
Did the murderer take him into this room? Or was he already here?
There's nothing else I can make, Your Majesty. Turnips and water are all I was given.
Standing at the center of the room, you spot a sorcerer haughtily eyeing a pair of nervous-looking magisters. They keep their crossbow trained upon her as she's being interrogated by an officer.
So you admit it then? You murdered that poor fella?
Yes, I did. But of course, that was only the beginning.
She turns her head and looks you straight in the eye.
There are others whose lives must end.
Good God, the woman's mad. You there, sorcerer, go and fetch Magister Siwan. We need to do more than collar this maniac. We need to shackle her, hands and feet.
No, I'm afraid I always perform my part solo.
She reaches for her collar and simply removes it.
I'm just about to create a scene.
Subdue her, men, quickly! If she casts source, the Voidwoken will come. They'll end us all.
She smiles with wicked satisfaction.
Precisely.
What's happened? Damn. That doesn't bode well. Onwards and upwards. Gods damn it. Need to get off this wreck. Quick.
pass through the door, and suddenly the skeleton is quickly leafing through a volume of Cranley Hubert's famous...
No! What damn fools record knowledge on a pulped tree? It catches fire, it turns into must when wet, it cannot even resist acid!
The skeleton looks up and notices you've...
Oh, it's you. Shouldn't you be running and screaming or some such?
The skeleton groans and looks back to his book, frantically flipping from page to page.
I know your god did not gift you with much. Do you look at me and think, why yes, there is someone with organs enough to drown? Trifling matters like water and poison do not concern me. No, damp robes are the most I have to fear. Once this glorified skiff hits the sea floor, I will simply walk to shore. Whereas you, I believe, have lifeboats to pointlessly squabble over.
The skeleton holds...
I am trying to discover if there is anyone worth saving. And I will be damned if I let the lives of some mayflies get in my way. Go on, go. Swim or drown or do whatever takes your fancy. I have a book to read.
The dwarf yanks at one of the nearby ropes to no avail.
He said there were other people down there. We need to help them.
You see those tentacles, kid? It's time for getting the hell out of here.
Thank you! There's a ladder right over there. You can go straight down.
You're gonna be the death of us, you hear?
Magister lies on the floor.
Walk! Get yourself up the ladder! There's a... Wait! Void Woken!
These beardless bugs won't sink that ship on my watch.
I thought Void Woken was supposed to be scary.
Let the games begin.
They who are about to triumph sleep.
Prepare yourself.
Away! The sea's hungry. We don't have much time.
We make it.
I hear something. It's Magister Siwan. The one who put on this damn collar.
She tries to speak, but can only gape as she clutches her neck, trying to stem the bleeding of a gushing wound. With jagged movements, she raises her clenched fist and holds out a length of cloth, soaked with some kind of strong-smelling tincture. Blood quickly soaks through the cloth. Magister Siwan's mouth opens and closes, her eyes wide in terror. Blood pours out from around the bandage. Magister Siwan reaches out to you, her hand, it's working. The pressure is stemming the flow of blood. Siwan clutches your arm, her eyes locked with yours. Something within the ship snaps. The floorboards shudder. Siwan struggles to her feet, clinging to you tightly. The ship lets out a deep groan, then cracks.
It's ripping the ship apart. This is it. She's going.
I have plans for you, child. Rise.
Honorable Dallas, We lost a ship sailing sorcerer prisoners to Fort Joy. We assume some escaped and broke their collars. Their vile magic lured the Voidwoken. All who were aboard are presumed dead. Yours faithfully into eternity, High Judge Oriven.
So the Order's right about one thing. We attract Voidwoken. Am I the lone survivor? Only one way to find out. Any man who put his likeness in stone is a fool in my book. It's broken.
The child has a small mirror in his hands. He holds it up at angles, inspecting his eyes, his chin, the crown of his head. He spots you, and his arms snap to his sides.
I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. Are you a sorcerer? One of those guys that brings the bad void things here?
The child screws up his face and looks at you hard. He lifts his mirror up to his nose, closes one eye, and looks at himself again.
I don't see any source on you or me. I guess they're wrong. Or crazy. Maybe you're right. At least they don't mind where anyone goes. They know we can't leave the island, but it's a lot nicer out here than outside. But you didn't die. I guess I am, but it's just normal to be scared. Nowhere isn't scary. There isn't anywhere safer. That's what I mean. You'll see.
Voidwoken. Those are the same beasts that sank our ship. Damn. They made it to shore.